Welcome to Making a Murderer, Rubberducky video channel. Welcome back to Making a Murderer, and this is our daily MaM reading with the CASO Investigative Reports, Part 103, page 1021. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 1022. Type of activity, interview of blank. Date of activity, 1109-06. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Weger. On 1109-06 at approximately 1625 hours, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, met with blank at a residence on blank blank. My purpose for meeting with blank was to determine if she was aware of any type of jeans, specifically Dassey Fuentes jeans, Teresa may have owned. Blank stated to me, in fact, she knows for sure blank had Dassey Fuentes jeans. I asked blank how she knew that, to which blank stated she used to tease Teresa about wearing Dassey Fuentes jeans. The reason she would tease Teresa was that Dassey Fuentes jeans were old person's jeans. I ended my interview with blank at approximately 1628 hours. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 1023. Type of activity, supplemental report, date of activity 12/13/06. Reporting Officer Investigator Gary Steyer. On Wednesday, 12/13/06 at approximately 11:15 a.m., I, Investigator Gary Steyer of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, was reviewing the Avery complaint. On page 702 of Investigator Steyer's report, bullet item number 1, property tag number 8605, Black Jack Creeper, 7 foot, east of the west wall, and item number 2, property tag number 8606, 1 plastic jug named brand, clean strip paint thinner, 13 foot 8 inch east of the west wall, should be amended to west of the east wall. Upon reviewing the following measurements of the other items in the incident, measurements were west of the east wall, not east of the west wall. I did speak with Tim Austin of the Wisconsin State Patrol, in which Tim Austin indicated he had placed item number 1 and item number 2 into his diagram east of the west wall, as according to my original report. When he had drawn the diagram using the measurements east of the west wall, it did not locate to an area of the garage where I recalled the items being. When Tim Austin used the measurements west of the east wall, the items fit exactly when compared to photographs and other measurements taken by myself. The correction should be made. Item number 1, property tag number 8605, Black Jack Creeper, 7 foot west of the east wall, and item number 2, property tag number 8606, 1 plastic jug, name brand, clean strip paint thinner, 13 foot 8 inch west of the east wall. Investigator Gary Steyer, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 1024. Type of activity, review of blood evidence in Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts. Date of activity 12/14/06. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Weger. On 12/14/06 at approximately 1520 hours, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, went to the Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts office. The purpose for going there was to inspect a vial of blood which had been found at the Clerk of Courts office from the Avery exoneration case. Upon arrival, I met with Assistant District Attorney Norm Gahn from the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. Also present were Jerome Buting, representing the Avery Defense, as well as an investigator from the Avery Defense team by the name of Conrad Biaz. The 4 of us went in the Clerk of Court's office after being let in the second door. We were allowed into the Clerk of Court's office, where we met with the Criminal Clerk of Court's worker, Janet Bonin. A white cardboard box was then removed from a safe located in the Clerk of Court's office. One side of the white cardboard box was sealed with red evidence tape and dated 03/13/96, and had the last name Caines written across the tape. The other end of the box had white evidence tape on it with the initials MEC on it, which appears as though the white evidence tape was not secured and had been opened. There was, however, what appeared to be a white Scotch tape sealing the other side of the white box. Located on the outside of the white box was writing that stated 06/19/02, 12/25, open per FHH instructions by E.J. Fitzgerald. It states closed 6/1902-12/27, contains S. Avery's whole blood sample and is signed by E. J. Fitzgerald. There was also a small white sticker located on the outside of the white box, which had the date 01/04/96 on it, with the initials SA and the numbers 95-624. After completing photos of the white cardboard box, I did apply gloves, opened the white box, and removed a styrofoam box, which was located inside the cardboard box. The white cardboard box was opened at 15:36 hours. I then applied gloves to my hands and removed the white styrofoam container, which was located inside the cardboard box. At first glance, it appeared as though the styrofoam container was sealed with evidence tape, and I did not locate any markings on the styrofoam itself. Upon further examination, it appeared as though one of the sides of the styrofoam container was secured with red evidence tape. The other end of the styrofoam box appeared to have been open. There were two types of evidence tape, one clear, which appeared to be placed over the red evidence tape. The red evidence tape on one end had the date of 01/02/96 with a name, which would be unknown to me. On the same end, there was a white evidence tape that was page 1025, placed over it with the date 03/13/96 and initials MEC on the clear evidence tape. Upon further examination on the red evidence tape located on the same end as the clear evidence tape, the date of 01/12/96 was on it, and it appeared the initials of WHSELER would be on the red evidence tape. I then changed my gloves after taking photos of the outside of the white styrofoam box and opened the styrofoam box. We found located inside the white styrofoam container a tube, which is commonly known as a vacutainer tube. Located on the purple top vacutainer tube was a white label. On one side of the tube, the white label had a date of 01/04/96 on it, with the initials SA and the number 95-624. The SA and the number 95-624 were handwritten in ink. There was also another number typed on the tube with 004-983 and underneath it 0001. On the other side of the tube was a label. On the top, it indicated it was a Vacutainer brand sterile interior with a writing underneath that which stated EDTA. On that label was a handwritten name of Steven Avery with the number 122987 also handwritten underneath it. The substance would appear to be blood, which also appeared to still be liquid. The styrofoam container was then resealed and placed back into the white cardboard box and sealed with evidence tape along with my initials. The white cardboard box was sealed at 15:58 hours and was returned to Janet Bonin of the Clerk of Courts at that time. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Wiegert, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 1026. Type of activity interview of Joe F. Bunick. Date of activity 01/03/07 at 16:10 hours. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Wiegert. On 01/03/07 at 16:10 hours, I, Investigator Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, and DCI Special Agent Tom Fassbender met with Joe Bunick in his office on Dewey Street in the city of Manitowoc. Joe states he was a clerk of courts for Manitowoc County from January 1997 through January 2005. I asked Joe if he was aware of the blood sample which was contained in the Avery case file located in the Clerk of Court's office. Joe stated he was not aware of any blood sample and was never aware of any blood that was kept at the Clerk of Court's office. According to Joe, the case file for Mr. Avery was stored primarily in the basement area of the Clerk of Courts behind a secured door. I asked Joe if he remembered anybody ever asking to see the file, specifically anybody from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. Joe stated he never had anybody request of him to see the case file. I asked Joe if he had ever heard of Lieutenant Link. Joe states he does not know Lieutenant Link and has never spoke with Lieutenant Link. I asked Joe about Sergeant Andy Colburn. Joe states he heard of Sergeant Colburn's name, but would not know him by face and has never spoken to him. I asked Joe the normal procedure if somebody had requested to see the case file. Joe states they would retrieve the case file and then take it into the lobby area and stay with the person who would have been examining the case file. Joe states occasionally if an officer would ask for the file, they would allow him behind a secure door, but would also have somebody stay with the officer while he was examining the case file. Joe stated he had taken office in 1997. He changed the combination to the door, which leads to the offices. Page 1027. That was the end of my conversation with Joe Bunick. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Wiegert, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 1028. Type of activity. Interview of Marlene J. Cranes. Date of activity 010507. Reporting officer, investigator Mark Wiegert. On 010507 at approximately 10:35 a.m., I, Investigator Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, along with DCI Special Agent Tom Fassbender, went to the address of 409 East Jefferson Street, Waupun, where we met with Marlene Cranes. Marlene invited us into the residence. Marlene states she started at Fox Lake Correctional Institute in 1989 and retired the first time in 1997. She states she went back to work at Fox Lake as a limited-term employee briefly in 2001. Marlene would be an LPN at Fox Lake Correctional Institute. I asked Marlene if she remembers specifically Steven Avery, to which she states she does not. She states she has seen things on the TV and in the news about Mr. Avery, but does not remember him specifically being at the prison. Marlene states when she worked at Fox Lake, she worked in the pharmacy and was a phlebotomist. I asked Marlene if she specifically remembers doing a blood draw on Mr. Avery again, which she states she does not. She states normally the paperwork would go to her boss, she would get the paperwork and would do the blood draw. She thinks her supervisor at the time would have been Elaine Wheeler. She states when they would take the blood, they would document the date and time and what was drawn, and they would put it also in his chart. She states the charts were kept in a separate room from where they drew the blood. I asked Marlene if she recalls what type of tube she would normally draw blood into. She states it would depend on the reason they were drawing blood. I asked her, for instance, if it was for DNA testing. She states she believes it would have been drawn into a purple top tube for a CBC, which would be for several types of tests. She states the tubes are different sizes and the vial, vacutainer tube, would determine how much blood was drawn. She states the tube would not always be full, but it would depend on how much the vacutainer drew in. On most occasions, she states, they would not have problems drawing blood. However, occasionally, they would blow a vein or something else would go wrong and it would stop drawing blood into the vacutainer. Page 1029. Tube. She states she would draw the blood as per the directions on the blood draw kit, and then the blood draw kit would be sealed with evidence tape, which was located also in the kit. At that time, I took out several pictures we had taken of the blood, which was located at the Clerk of Court's office in Manitowoc. The first picture I showed her was of the cardboard box, which had evidence tape affixed to it. It should be noted, Marlene instantly recognized her signature on the red evidence tape. I then showed her a picture of the purple top tube itself, which was located in the styrofoam container. Marlene states she believes the handwriting depicting it as Steven Avery's blood would also be her handwriting. I also showed Marlene a picture of the vacutainer tube with the purple top and the black spot in the middle of it. Marlene states she believes the black spot would be the area where the tube plugs into the needle where the blood is drawn out of. She states that black spot would have been from the needle. Again, she states the draw stops at the point where it cannot pull any more out. She states she knows there is a chemical in the tube, so the blood will not clot. I asked Marlene about the purple top on the tube. She states the purple top normally is not taken off, and it is very difficult to get out of the tube. You have to really pull on the top to get it off. I asked Marlene what the normal procedure is after the blood is drawn. She states they would call an officer, and the officer would pick up the tube and take it to the guardhouse, where it would be FedExed out to wherever the blood would be going. She states Elaine Wheeler was probably with her when she drew the blood from Mr. Avery. I asked Marlene if anybody had ever contacted her about the blood draw, to which she stated nobody had. I specifically asked her if anybody from Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department had talked to her about the blood draw, to which she stated they had not. Marlene states she did do some fill-in work at Kettle Moraine Correctional Institute. However, the blood would not have been drawn at Kettle Moraine. Agent Fassbender then showed Marlene a copy of an evidence transmittal, which had the heading Roush biomedical laboratories on it. Marlene recognized her writing on the suspect line. Marlene was unable to provide us with any further information, at which time we thanked her for her assistance and ended the interview at 11:14 a.m. Page 1030. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. All right, let's do our review. I really only have one page out of the 10 that really drew me in, was page 1024. And we're reviewing the blood evidence at Manitowoc County Clerk of Courts, and it's December 14th, 06. It's Investigator Weger, and the purpose of going there is to inspect a vial of blood, which has been found at the Clerk of Court's office in the Avery's exoneration case. Keep in mind, this was simply stored in the basement before he got out of prison, and everybody had access. So, in order for us to take this very serious, we have to understand that all this containers should be perfectly sealed without any issue. But here's what happens. It talks about the red evidence tape on one end dated, and all the protocols are followed, but on the other end of the box has white evidence tape on it with the initials MEC on it, and it appears as though white evidence tape was not secured and had been opened. So the evidence tape is broken there. And then somebody just took a piece of white Scotch tape and sealed the box back. So that's a big problem, because in the situation that they did this and everything without even thinking that the FBI was going to be testing it, they would have went for this blood. And who would have had access to this blood? In the event that the FBI is asking to test this substance, they just convinced them that they would share the same swabs. All they had to do was swab switcheroony. They, by the time the FBI requested it, they had Steven Avery's blood, fresh and without EDTA. So, okay. So that's about all for these 10 pages. I know it's a very busy week for a lot of us, going back to school, other family priorities, and so forth. And so I appreciate that you take your time to be with me, just as I do with you. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today and for staying with me. And you know what? If you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't do the time. Have a good evening.